Welcome to the Power Pit. My name's Tyler, and I'm excited to invite Kim onto our show today. So, Kim has been in the fitness industry for over 11 years. 7 of those years she has spent in a commercial gym, and 4 years ago she launched her own online fitness and nutrition coaching business. Her business is really focused on helping women. She wants to help them shed fat, build lean muscle, and amp up their confidence. And she does this in a simple and sustainable way that defies diet culture and gimmicky quick fixes. So she has helped hundreds of women already transform their bodies and their minds and to move from restrictive diet trap to empowered and sustainable fitness levels. So with that, Kim, thank you for joining us.
Of course, happy to be here.
Awesome. So that's exactly where I want to dive in, is really just talk about, like where did your story start and what brought you into the fitness industry?
For sure. Well, honestly, as a kid, I was always a very active, competitive, like in all sports, right? So yeah, I think fitness has always been a part of my personality or like competitive nature. But yeah, I think the reason I'm so passionate about helping women kind of shed that diet culture and restrictive diet trap is from my own struggles with that. So, going from being a sporty kid into teenage years, I kind of fell into that trap of like, now I just want to be skinny, I need to look a certain way. And I kind of lost my love of fitness for a little bit, but I came back to it. I came back to the weight room, and that really was transformative for me. So.
Absolutely. So when you said you kind of had, you had dove into it and you had lost your passion for fitness, do you mind talking a little bit about what that was like? Because I know our listeners can relate to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think life just started lifing. Like part of it was, again, wanting to be thin or having this aesthetic that wasn't necessarily healthy and fit, but not putting those two pieces together. But also I was a single mom. I was in university. I had 3 young kids when I was 25, and full-time school, trying to work, parent, and fitness just became back burner.
Gotcha.
Right? It wasn't a priority. So.
Yep. And so it kind of fell off. And then what ultimately got you back into it?
Yeah, once I graduated university, I actually went to Ecuador. This is kind of a strange story, but my father moved there. And while I was there, I had 6 weeks of like no responsibilities. I was no longer in school. And then I kind of had the time to think, what the hell am I doing next?
Yeah.
And while I was there, I was like on his rooftop, like doing yoga, eating really well, and just kind of like de-stressing, if that makes sense. And then I realized like, I love fitness. It's like, hey, wait a minute. My degree that I got in university, women's and gender studies, which is great. But I was like, this isn't really the road I want to continue down, right? So it was either like go into academia or I just need to get in the gym, if that makes sense. And then I just actually want to do that for like my career almost. So then that drove me to like getting back into the gym, taking courses, but also doing it for myself, right? And just committing to working out again.
Awesome. So let's talk about doing it for yourself. So what did that look like, and how did you have to shift mentalities?
Yeah, I think for me, it just came down to just honestly starting out, right? Like coming from a place where I used to be very active, I know that's you just need to get consistent with it again.
Yeah.
So I just started going to the gym, lifting weights, and then feeling so much better, like mentally, emotionally, like again, as a single parent, it really was like, hey, this is a way to deal with my stress, boost my mental health, and just feel better all around. So I think that's what got me hooked back into it, right? Gotcha. And then I had a different mentality of like, it's not just about looking a certain way, it's more about how I feel.
Yeah, so that was like, sounds like that was a very pivotal point.
Absolutely.
Where you really wanted to go, where it was like, it was all kind of about aesthetics before, which didn't make you feel good, to now it was just more about that getting in, that mental health, that taking care of yourself, and then things started to fall in place.
Absolutely.
Cool. So how did that, so that's how you got back in. How did you get back into the fitness industry at that point?
Yeah. Well, so that summer, like, again, I spent 6 weeks in Ecuador, and then I just started literally looking up certs. Like, I was like, okay, I'm just changing my whole path. This is what makes me feel good. This is what I want to do. And then, I just got certified through CanFit Pro, started working at Motion Fitness. Like, I just applied and got it, and then I was, bang, like, just fully submerged in that industry, right? And then
Yeah.
I learned along the way
Yeah.
a lot of things. I'm still learning, but
Yeah, well, and I think that's
yeah.
I love that you said that, because I think it is important, because we continue to just learn along the way, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
know every new client, every year that goes by, I'm like, man, I've pulled so much more out of that has made me
Totally.
a better trainer and a better coach. So that's awesome. Let's
Yeah.
talk about those early years a little bit. So the early years of into the fitness industry, what was that like, and how has it changed to where you're at now?
Just for my own personal fitness, you mean? Or
For you and for your clients, like, how did you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, again, I think fitness is a skill that
Yeah.
takes time to develop, right? So it's like in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
both
Absolutely.
personally with your own journey and then also with coaching clients. So I think, yeah, like in the beginning, I would show up at the gym. I would just do literally like leg press, tricep dips. Like I had my like 3 exercises I like doing. I
Yep.
felt confident in. I'm like, this is fun. This is good. And then over time, I learned like, hey, this isn't actually a well-rounded program. Like I started learning about like, okay, actual science of hypertrophy and then strength training and how those are 2 different ways of training.
Yeah.
And then like, so yeah, how do I say this? Your goals evolve over time.
Yeah.
And then I think just as a trainer, I learned that too, right? Like there's so much to learn and it's a never ending
Yeah.
journey, right?
Absolutely. I know when I started out as a trainer, that's what I found is it's like you get your certification, or you come out, you have your degree, and you come out and you think you know, right? And you
Yeah.
think you know, and then all of a sudden you get into it, and then you start working with clients, and it's a little different than the textbook said or the way it was
absolutely.
instructed, right? And then you have to problem solve and troubleshoot to figure out what is going to help this client. And I think that's what ends up making a great trainer. And I think I've seen that in action with you, where you've been able to think through and be able to get people to the point where they want to be by thinking outside of the box. That it's not just because it's a fixed mindset in the textbook doesn't mean that it has to be a fixed mindset when you're out of that textbook. So
Absolutely.
so with that, how does that apply to your clients? So how do you help instill this empowerment to the clients that come to you, to the women?
I think a huge part of it is readjusting your mindset and kind of rethinking like what fitness should look like or what it needs to be. So I think a lot of women and people, we have an all or nothing mindset when we start out. And that's something for me too, right? So it's like you show up, you think in order to get to your fitness goal, you need to be in the gym 7 days a week. You need to be eating perfectly. Like you just need all these, again, textbook things, or maybe not even textbook.
Yeah.
Social media, like there's so much confusion and overwhelm, right? So sorry, I feel like I'm getting lost on that question a little bit. I'm trying to bring it back to what you
No,
asked
I
me.
think you're exactly right. Like you can get lost in social media and
Yes.
on what you need to do, right? So
Absolutely.
to bring it back to where the question, where it's like, how do you help instill in your clients that mentality to shift past it's not just cardio on cardio on cardio.
Yes.
And it's not, if you touch 10 pounds, that suddenly you're going to be an Olympic bodybuilder or something like that, right? So
Absolutely.
how do you work with your clients to work around that mentality shift?
I think seeing is believing. So I think there is a period of adjustment, right? Because a lot of women, they do think, like a lot of my clients come to me for fat loss in particular.
Yep.
They want to shed some fat, get a toned look. So what comes along with that is a lot of like misinformation that they've been told, right?
Yep.
So it's all like, I need to eat 1,200 calories a day. I need to just do more cardio, burn more calories, just work harder, do more. And then my job is to be like, no, it doesn't need to be extreme.
Yep.
It can be sustainable and realistic. And also, we don't need to focus on just burning calories, right? Like the science is completely different. So it's like kind of debunking all the lies or myths that they've been told
Yep.
to believe, and then presenting a new way. But sometimes there is that period of time where they might not believe. Like honestly, like clients will come to me and I tell them you need to eat more.
Yep.
And they're like, I want to lose weight though. How would I eat more? I'm like, well, you need more protein, you need more carbs. Like just this is how it works. And then there's that period where they have to see it to believe it.
Yep.
Right? So once they actually buy into the program, I guess, and if they do listen,
Yep.
if they do take the advice and they do the steps, then they see, hey, now I'm changing my body composition, right? So it's just changing that mindset, but you have to be open to learning different ways, right?
Yeah.
And being coached, right? Like if you want to coach, you have to open your mind and let go of some of those things that are confusing or overwhelming, because a lot of them aren't even true.
Yeah, and I totally, can relate to that idea where it's like, yeah, like, well, I need to eat more, and I'll look the way I want to look, or change my body the way I
Absolutely.
want to change it, and yeah, like that is an important part. And I know, a lot of my clients are women as well, and when we try and set them up for success, it's a lot of times breaking through those things. And I like the way you put it. Sometimes you just have to see it as believing. You
Yeah,
just got to trust the process for a while, and then you
absolutely.
realize. And I've had that with some of my male clients too, who are just like, they think same sort of mentality where it's like, I just got to slash my calories and just walk and run as much as I possibly can. And like, I've seen some people lose weight that way,
Mm-hmm.
but then they're like, well, but I don't look like how I want to look. And it reminds me of a story of a client I had where when she came to me, she wanted to fit into this red dress.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always talking about how she wanted to lose weight, lose weight. And one of the things with that was, I was like, she didn't really have weight to lose. But as a coach, I wasn't sure. Like, I'm like, I can't really just tell her that. She wasn't ready to accept that. So what we did was, I asked her if she was open to trusting me and working on it. And we
Mm-hmm.
did. And we started working on that strength training, and we started adapting her body. And then she started to get that toned look. And then when she put that red dress on, she had the curves where she wanted to have the curves, right? And she looked, and the way she wanted to look in her head, that was her picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember that smile on her face when she told me that. She was like, I've been trying to get smaller, and smaller wasn't what I needed to do. Right. And it was like, she needed to take care of herself and be healthy and lift and eat more protein and
Yes.
eat more in general, so that she got those curves. And that story goes on to the point where it was like, we got past just the aesthetics of what it looked like, because she got this toned body that she always had wanted. But I still remember the day when she was like, you know what, it's not even about that. She
Mm-hmm.
ended up lifting a kayak off of the truck while she was camping, and her husband and her father-in-law had told her to just wait, like, the men will get it down, the men will get it down. And she got frustrated and was like, you know what, I go to the gym and I train, I can do this. So she pulled it down herself and went kayaking. And both her husband and her father-in-law, whoever it was, came to her and was like, how did you, it took both of them to put it up there, and it just took her to put it down. And that
Love
smile
it.
on her face, I think, is empowering. And from knowing you, I think that's exactly one of the reasons you do what you do. Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about maybe a client that you've had that's similar to the story that I had, that you've empowered them to find that, either that strength or aesthetic that they're looking for?
Oh, absolutely. And that's my favorite. I've had a ton of clients that have started out our initial phone call. Well, what are you looking to do? What is your main goal? Well, I just want to lose weight. Okay. And then 3 months into the program, they're like, I am strong. Like, I just deadlifted 150 pounds and this feels amazing. And they're like, my biceps are starting to show and I didn't think I'd ever want to see that, but I actually love seeing that. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. Right. And that's why strong as women.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women, they think they want to lose weight, like you said, but in reality, they want to feel good in their body.
Yeah.
They want energy, they want confidence. And really, what that comes from is changing their body composition, right? And optimizing their metabolism and dealing with their hormones. Like, there's so much more than just, oh, you just want to lose a number on a scale. So I love to see that. Yeah. And like one of my clients, Amanda, she's amazing. Like, we've been working together for 8 months now, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, her initial goal was, she was going to the gym for quite a while. She thought she was eating healthy, doing all the right things. But she said the weight just kept creeping on slowly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what's going on. Can't lose the weight. And then since working with me, like, she's down 17 pounds. She's lost inches. She's looking jacked. And again, she went from wanting to lose weight to like actually wanting to look jacked.
Yeah.
You know? And maybe jacked is scary to women as well, but it's
I
something
think
that,
there's a scale on
yeah,
that,
it
right?
evolves over time. But yeah, so many women. And
Yeah.
I love what you said about like the kayak, because that's something I hear too. Just another quick little story. My one client, Allison, she took her family went on a canoe trip.
Yeah.
And she said she portaged her 4-year-old. I can't remember how far, but it was hilarious. She's like, I actually carried him over my shoulder screaming
Mm-hmm.
for like 1 kilometer or something. She's like,
Yeah.
I could have never done that before. And like, that's actually one of the best results I've got from working with you. And I'm like, cool. Because again, she came to me, I want to lose weight.
Yeah, and those are the results that I love hearing as well.
Totally.
Because it comes down to, it's not just how you look, but it's what you can do, and not just what you can do on, like, competition style thing, but
Yeah.
really like what you can do overall in life, and like carrying your kid and being able to handle those things and portage and be active is so empowering. So I know that's the take that I have with my clients, and that's the take that you have with your clients. So talk to me a little bit more about that. So when it comes to your clients and you're working on empowering them for life, how ultimately do you do that?
Yeah, many ways. I think it's important to take a very holistic approach. So we do have different like pillars within my program, right? And one of them is mindset, and that's huge. And often that's like almost like a secret goal. Like people don't come to me and say, "I need to change my mindset."
Yeah.
Right? They come to me and they say like, "I can't get out of this loop of gaining and losing the same 20 pounds, no matter what I do." And it comes down again to changing that mindset of fitness is forever. I think that's a huge part of it.
I like that.
Yeah, so even if you do lose the 20 pounds, if you haven't changed kind of your identity, your habits, your routines, the way you talk to yourself, the way you think about fitness, what's going to happen next, right? Because if you're still approaching it with that old mindset of like, I just need to lose weight, then I'll be happy. It's all about that goal, or that number goal, I should say. Then it kind of ends there. But if they can set goals that are like exciting, empowering, right? Like I want to be able to carry my kid, run and save my kid if God forbid like they're running in front of a car or something. You know what I mean? Like actual real life things. Yeah, so just bringing it down to like the deeper goal, the deeper why,
Yeah.
and then having fun with it.
Yeah.
Right? Like seeing fitness not as something you have to do, but something you get to do. And the empowerment comes with the actions. Like it comes with time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it, right? Is like it's not something that you have to do, it's something you get to do, and it's bringing that fun back into fitness, and finding that empowerment through that, right? So I think that is a key and very important part to it, as well as, like when you're working with your clients, it's like finding, like, leading them to the point that they find that strength within, right? Like we're just the mentors along the way, right? We help them get to where they need to go. Really, they're the heroes of the journey, and they're the ones that are getting the results, because they're putting in that hard work. But sometimes it can feel so overwhelming with everything that's out there, and the different fads and the different things that everyone's tried or being told and bombarded with social media, to really wade through that. So to find someone, a coach or a trainer, that can help lead and guide someone to that empowerment, or that whatever goal it is that they're trying to accomplish, I think is really important. So you do that through online training as well, right? Do you do in person at all?
No, everything I do is completely online.
Online
Yeah.
based. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And what does that look like? If someone were to reach out to you, what does that process look like?
For sure. So it's hosted online, right?
Yep.
So we have an online community, but all the coaching is through a coaching app
Yep.
that I use, and is strength training based. So I do give recommendations on cardio, stuff like that. And then I also do nutrition coaching.
Yep.
So my whole nutrition coaching philosophy is flexible dieting / intuitive eating. So really empowering women to understand the science of nutrition, right? What their
Yep.
body actually needs, and working with them to monitor that as we go, but really do it in a way where they leave understanding like what true nutrition looks like, and really like getting rid of all those misconceptions, right, of cutting carbs or whatever it is. Yeah, and I do one-on-one coaching. So essentially it's kind of a hybrid of group coaching and one-on-one, because we have our client community. There's live trainings hosted within there weekly, live coaching calls, but then I also do the one-on-one. So I'm with them every step of the way, right? Making sure their nutrition is aligned, their workouts are aligned with their goals, and checking in and holding them accountable.
Awesome.
Which is one of the major things that people are looking for, is the accountability.
Yes, that is very important. So when you say one-on-one, is that like virtual? You meet with them while they work out, or is it they do their workout and report back to you, or both?
So it's more of the checking in accountability process that I do virtually. Sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Answered that terribly. So their program is all virtual. It's all through an app.
Yeah. Okay.
Has demo videos. So they just go, they either train from home or the gym. Some might do actually like both, home and gym. And then it's all just set up in their calendar, right? So they're following along, but I'm actually viewing from my end. I can see when they've checked it off. I can be like, hey, what's up? You didn't do Monday's workout. And then they can ask me questions through the app. And then we do like a formal weekly check-in.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of a hybrid model. Like sometimes we do hop on the phone if needed. Sometimes I send them a Loom video.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's quite like customized to what that individual needs.
So so basically it's one of those where you lead, you guide, you educate, and then you hold accountable through it as well, so that they can fit it into their busy lifestyles. And I think that is a big key, and why people are attracted to online training is that it can fit into the busy lifestyles, and is one having, again, trained multiple women, and when their mothers and work and everything, so much falls on them that they are busy. And I've also found that they don't take the time for themselves, right? They don't fill their own cup first. They end up filling everyone else's cup and taking care of everyone else, and then theirs gets depleted. And this sounds like you've developed a way to help them fill up their cup, and feel good and confident. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so with that, how do you find the best way to help women fill up their cup? Like what's the best avenue for them to take?
See, I'm all about the body.
Yeah.
I mean, mindset is one thing, spirit is another, but I like to approach it through what action steps are you doing to connect to your body?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what most of us, men, women, everyone alike, we're in a very busy, stress. It's an information overload society. So a lot of us are in our heads a lot of the time. We're stressed out. Especially as women, you're worrying about what do the kids need right now? What does the husband need? What's for dinner? Like you're just in your head so much. So just practicing, even if it's 3 days a week, committing to those gym sessions, getting back into your body, reconnecting with yourself physically, I feel like that is like the cure that so many of us need, right? And again, it goes for stress reduction, for mental health. It's a way to just deal with everything life is throwing at you and put yourself first. So so I really do bring it back to the messy action steps, showing up, committing to small steps, but bringing it back to the physical, right? Because if you're not fueled, if you're running on empty and you're putting everyone before you and you're trying to eat 1,200 calories, you had coffee for breakfast. I'm just kind of throwing out some of the things I hear. You're forgetting to feed yourself. You're so busy. Everyone else is first. Like you're in starvation mode. No wonder you're stressed. No wonder you're panicking. No wonder you've lost confidence, right? So it's just like finding a way to put those small habits into your daily life in a realistic way. And for me, it does come back to the body. So it's more of like a bottom-up approach, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's kind of, like where the body goes, the mind will follow.
Absolutely.
Right? And just, using that as a guide and pulling people maybe out of their heads and out of the busyness and out of the stress that life throws at them. Yeah. I think that's a really good way to look at it. And that is really important when it comes to our clients. So what's like the number one advice that you would give anyone that's looking to start their fitness journey? If they wanted to start today, what would you tell them?
Just start.
Absolutely.
Don't think it needs to be perfect. Don't think you need to know 1,000% what you're doing. Just start, because that first step is the hardest. And once you get momentum, the path will clear the way, right? And if you need help, reach out for help. Like there's communities, there's coaches, there's people who will support you and cheer you on, and sometimes you do need that guidance, but the first step is just starting.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So with getting started, if someone wants to get started with you and they come to you and they're like, man, I want to work out 5 days a week. I want to hit the strength. I want to hit the cardio. I'm going to change, all of my nutrition. What's your advice to them at that point?
I think for the rare person, that might be the right approach, but for 99% of people, that isn't the right approach. And again, that's that all or nothing mentality, thinking you need to be extreme or perfect. So for me, we start with habit stacking. We start with mastering one foundational habit, and then building upon that. And that way you're gonna stick to it long term. Because I find one of the worst things you can do is try to do everything all at once.
Yeah.
Again, for some that might work, but
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's rare occasions, like, because there's always exceptions to the rule, right?
yeah.
Where it's like they can get started and they can do it and they can go all out. But again, if you're starting with someone who is already on the edge of burnout, and now they jump into their fitness on that side of burnout, it's like we actually need to we need to pull things back a little bit to get you to where you want to go. And that's kind of the theme of what we talked about today. Is it's like a lot of it when it comes to our fitness and our mental health and all of those sorts of things isn't exactly like what you think it would be. Sometimes it's almost the opposite of what you want to do or what you expect to do to get you to where you actually want to go to get those results. And I think that there's a lot out there a lot of people out there that do get confused by that, because it's like, I don't know how to start, I don't know where to start. And like, I know, Kim, you said just start, but like there are so many things that I should do. Do I start with diet? Do I start with this? I liked your answer, like, start with some habits. What are, like, could you give us 2 habits that that women could start with that would at least get them going before they could find the support and the help?
Absolutely. I think first, understanding nutrition a little bit better is the key. So when someone comes to me, I get them to just track their nutrition in some form. So a lot of them, it's an app, and you don't need to be perfect or worry about where the numbers are at. It's just to create that awareness around, hey, what are macros? What is protein? What is fat? Like, what do I actually need to feel good in my body and function properly and have good health? Because so many of us, we don't know that. We think it's cutting carbs, or we're just scared of certain foods. But in reality, it's not about getting rid of certain foods or saying no to your favorite snacks. It's about making sure you're getting enough of the right things. So that's what I start with, is like, what are you getting nutritionally? Where are you standing? And where are the imbalances?
Okay.
If that's overwhelming, you can just write it on a piece of paper. I can look at it, 90% of women are not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
So that's usually that's kind of part 2, is like, increase your protein.
Yeah.
It is a game changer. Like, that is one of the things that on my journey, there was a time where I was just running, drinking nothing but organic smoothies, and I thought that was healthy. And I call her size 00 Kim. Like, she had no idea what she was doing. She was tiny, she was depleted, she felt like crap. And then when I started actually fueling my body properly, hey, I built my booty. Yeah. I felt good. I could actually lift heavy weights. My mental health improved. So anyway, I'm just bringing it back to what are the foundations of nutrition? And a lot of us are just confused. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure you have gas in your tank, right? So you're eating the proper fuel, I think, is a huge starting place. Right?
I think that's a great place for people to start. And then you mentioned building your booty.
Yeah.
Right. So I've seen some programs. You have a booty building program online, right?
I do. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, you even had a lady who was taking it, who I had ran into and ended up chatting with her about
awesome.
it, which was awesome. And yeah, so I know that you have some free content out there, and you've also, obviously, like, this is your career as a coach, an online coach. How ultimately can people find you?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Kim Garman Coaching.
Okay.
Facebook, Kim Garman.
Okay.
I do have a website, kimgarmancoaching.com. Yes.
Okay.
But Instagram is probably the easiest place to find me. I'm on there quite a bit.
So find you on Instagram. That sounds awesome. And if someone is like, hey, like, I want to try something out, I'm not ready to commit, do you have ongoing like your booty builder or something that they can follow, or how would they do that to just get started in the fitness industry before get started with a trainer before they jump into things further?
Yeah, I do have a lot of different options depending on who you are and what you're looking for.
Okay.
But the first thing is, I do offer like a consult.
Perfect.
Right? To get someone on the phone, dive deep into like, what are your actual goals, how my program works, if that's aligned. And then there is different options within that where, you can start out with something maybe feels less scary or less commitment than the one-on-one coaching. If that makes sense. So it's really depending on what individuals need. But I do have a 12-week booty building program, which is super fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. So if you're looking to be empowered and you're looking for someone like Kim, I think she's a great fit, and I can't recommend her enough. So she just told you how to find her on Instagram, being the best way to contact her. And we really appreciate you coming on to the podcast today.
Awesome.
So thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys.